What's up, guys? This is your Payday Parlays podcast coming back for you for another week. This is Zane, always joined by Matt as well. Matt, how was the weekend?
I was a little rough, a couple bad beats here and there. It was a rough weekend.
Yeah, any way you spin it, it was not very pretty for us over the weekend. Just as we talked about last week, we had caught some fire after last weekend. Very quickly, about after our midweek peak there, I think Wednesday, we just had a really solid night. It was pretty much downhill from there through the weekend.
It was, and there was just so many bad beats from in different sports. From soccer, Bayern Munich getting scored on in the 87th minute, to Ohio State against Illinois making that last second three that didn't mean anything. We had Illinois minus 5.5, so that was...
I just can't believe they let him the game was locked up. I just can't believe they let him go down the court untouched. Just nobody guarding. I mean, not even just slightly trying to just even 6 feet away, COVID distance, at least throw up your hands to do something.
I think the fear is you don't want to hurt someone on a meaningless play, if
going into the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Why? I mean, I get it. But from the betting standpoint, it really hurt us all.
I know. I was so mad. And, it seemed like the internet had Ohio State. And so that they were all going crazy while I was just, so upset.
Yeah. I mean, another bad beat, in my opinion, was Tottenham Arsenal. I bet against my Gooners, just because I don't like where they're at in the table. They playing too comfortable. They had that layoff game against Burnley. So I'm like, you know what? Tottenham, I feel good about them. I feel good about their form. They take a 1-0 lead after I played them on I put a draw no bet in play. So if they draw, I get my money back. But the line was pretty decent there for the payout if Tottenham wins outright. They go up 1-0 on a just nasty Rabona. That same guy gets a red card and Arsenal wins 2-1. So, I mean, I would say that qualifies as a bad beat in soccer, in my opinion. But
yeah, that is kind of a bad beat. But it was just Arteta did it though. He finally got that North London derby.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. Overall, I'm happy about it. I'll take the loss of whatever it was, $10 that I had on it to have the North London derby. But the fact that they kind of played right into my expectations right at the beginning to be like, okay, I made the right choice here. Tottenham's gonna at least eke out a draw, and I'm gonna be okay. Or Arsenal may eke out a draw, but Tottenham's in an early lead. And then to have the same guy who scored the goal to set them up end up going out with a red card later in the game, just changes the whole dynamic there. It was just laughable. That's the type of weekend it was for me, though. Overall, I don't even want to talk about the rest because that's about how all of them went this weekend.
That's how it's been going for me with college basketball all season. Well, yeah, all season.
Yeah.
I had a couple games. I think we struggled at the conference tournaments this weekend as well. A lot of our winners that we picked, we even picked some to cover, and the games were closer than we thought. It was just...
Yeah, it was just tough to navigate, and it makes me a bit nervous for this upcoming week with the tournament in play. Are we going to see that type of unpredictability? I mean, obviously the coin term of March Madness as a whole, we definitely got hurt this week by it for sure. With the unpredictability of the sport and this time of year.
I don't even know where to begin with just talking about that. I mean, we can move right into just let's talk about the tournament and just turn your page.
Yeah, I mean, I say before we dive into that though, let everybody know what we got going on this week. Kind of what we've set up for March Madness this week.
Definitely, let's do it. So, guys, for the Super Cup this week, we're only for just the Super Cup. We are only going to be betting on like every game, and we're going to each take 2 of the play-in games, and then the first 2 rounds this weekend, we're going to have a bet for every single game, and we're going to post them on our social media stuff so you can follow along. But that's going to be the challenge this week.
So betting on a budget every single game, it's going to be 50 games total. So our Super Cup budget every week is $100. So it works out that we can place a $2 bet on every single game. All we have to do is out of the play-in, first 4 in, we just play 2 of those instead of but all 4. We pick the 2 we want there. You can play money line. We can play the spreads. We can play the over-unders, but you just have to place a $2 bet in some fashion at least just one $2 bet for each game. And we'll see how it shakes out in our Super Cup standings, see if we can end up with some profit with the unpredictability and the madness that is March, especially the first 2 rounds of the tournament.
Yeah, I'm expecting some crazy upsets just looking at some of the seeding. Do we want to go ahead and just give the results for this week, get it out of the way?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's get an updated standings of where we stand in the Payday Parlays Mega Pick Face-Off Championship Series Super Cup. Matt, how did it shake out this week for you overall? I mean, did you have some plays that didn't go your way? Did you have some plays that kind of unexpected? I mean, what were just, you don't have to say all of them, but maybe just 1 or 2 there that were your big hits for the week or big losses for the week in the Super Cup?
So I had an 8-team parlay that hit this week. It was 3 sports. It was soccer, college basketball, and some hockey. And I was able to get that hit. It was like a big payout. So I was already in the green midweek before we had our collapse. So then once we had our collapse, I still, I finished strong with a 3-team parlay that just finished up today. But other than that, I was able to just kind of like mooch off of that 8-team parlay going into the weekend because it had got me into the green for the week already. So it was almost like no matter what happens, at least I didn't lose money this week.
Yeah. I was kind of scrambling after you kind of told me, after I saw that you hit that, you told me you hit that. I got in my own head a little bit. I started thinking about what do I need to do to make up ground instead of just playing to be in the green. And it hurt me early on. So I had to make some plays down the stretch just to eke out, just to stretch out into the green a little bit. But it started off nicely with Champions League, Aventus money line against Porto, which they did hit at the last minute in extra time. And then also I took that and parlayed it with over 2.5 goals for that game. So that was a nice payout. I had a 4-game hockey parlay a midweek that was a $5 bet that paid out $37.56. So that was nice, but I mean, I only hit out of my bets placed, which I placed 9 total for $100 total. I was less than 50%, so I was 4 for 5. But I ended up being in the green as well at total difference of placed 100, made 46.10, so 146.10 total payout.
Yep, and I was not that far ahead of you. You actually almost did come up. So I finished out with a profit of $51.83. So the total payout of $151.83. And so let's just go ahead and look at our total so we can update for the week. Because remember, these are investments, guys, investments. So I've bet 290 so far and have made $372.24. And Zane, you've bet 300 and you're at $458.81. Betting on a budget, but we're making money here, people.
I mean, 3 weeks in a row in the green. For me, I know you've eked out. You started off a little slow, but have starting to cut back and cutting into my lead a little bit there in the overall standings with you winning 2 weeks in a row now overall. But it's good to see that we're both 3 weeks into this and pretty solidly a gap there in the green that's growing a little bit.
The bottom hasn't fallen out yet.
No, we're staying alive. Remember, we said that you can watch the first episode. We talked about you can follow along as we lose all our money, and once we're tapped out, that's when the show will end. That's when the page will end. So far we're extending our stay, which is pretty nice.
And we do post all our picks. Where can they find them, Zane? Just a
You
reminder.
can find our picks at paydayparlays.com, Facebook Payday Parlays, Instagram Payday Parlays, and Twitter as well. Always share your guys' picks too. We may trail some of your picks you get out there as well. Don't just post the winnings, post the picks. We want to see the integrity there. That you're not going on Google and searching bet slips, screenshots just to make yourself look good.
True, and we also, we want to share the wealth. Like let us know that you played 15 parlays and you only hit one, but don't just show us the winnings of just the one. Being like, oh my god, it's like we want to see the losses too. Like we all let's put them
Yeah.
out there for us to see.
I mean, you go back and scroll on our feed through social media the past 3 days. It is a lot of X's on there, a lot of X's. But yeah, I think it's funny, Matt, the contrast there of like the picks that we play. Where we're posting picks nightly, but then we really get selective when we're putting it in on paper for the Super Cup there. And so far, it's paid off for us though, because we're both have that gap in the green. I just think we really lock in when we're we're trying to keep track of it there.
That is true. I do want to say though, I was going back and looking at our picks. I'm pretty sure we're still above 500 on our picks through our social media as well. So I don't want to say, and we are betting those as well, but it's not the ones that we're putting in the Super Cup.
Sometimes we have crossover, but yeah, it's not the same picks that you and I are going against each other with. So.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a little bit. The ones that we do are in the Super Cup are included in those picks as well, but we're not including every single pick that we post into our Super Cup because we have to put what our Super Cup bet is before.
Yeah.
If
but this week, straight transparency.
I think I'm just going to go ahead and make this rule now. If it's a Super Cup bet, I'm going to put it in gold on the graphic.
I like it. I like it. Bit more transparency, a little bit easier to follow. But this week, I mean, it's straight NCAA tournament time.
Exactly.
We got a little bit NBA action tonight. You got a little hockey going on each night, but you got 3 days or so to get your head in the game, evaluate, read stats, look at percentages, seed numbers versus seed numbers, percentages to win, and get it right. So we're going to take, once again, $2 for every game, 50 games over the next 2 rounds of NCAA tournament play this weekend, and see what shakes out. See if we can end up in the green with March Madness.
Yeah, and while we're talking about March Madness, we're also doing a bracket challenge. You want to tell them a little bit about that, Zim?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have created a bracket challenge group through the ESPN Tournament Challenge page. You can do it through the website. You can do it through their app. More convenient that way. But here's how you're going to enter. We will have a giveaway for the winner. Me and Matt will be competing. We will not accept the giveaway. So if we were to finish 1-2 and have a third, which would be really nice for our page to be called the experts, but definitely not gonna say that's gonna happen. But the first non-Payday Parlay member there of our page here between me and Matt will receive some sort of winnings, which is going to be good.
Yeah.
To do that though, you're going to go to the ESPN Tournament Challenge. You're going to search. You're going to create your bracket, and you want to add it to our group. Payday Parlays is the name of the group. It's simple. It's easy. You do need to let us know that you like and follow our page. So send us a message. Send us a screenshot that you have liked and followed our page on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any one of those, if not all 3. And you get 1 entry in. We'll give you the password to join the group. And the best of luck to you.
Yep. And you have to stay following us through the entire challenge. So you can't just send us a screenshot of you that you're following us, and then when you win the bracket and be expecting a prize, but you had unfollowed us, you automatically take your name out of the hat as soon as you follow us.
We have to see that you're following us not only to get in, but also at the end of the challenge too. After that, you get your winnings there. Do what you want to.
Yeah. Actually, no. You got to continue to follow us.
Continue to follow.
But while we're talking about the brackets, Zane, let's just go ahead and I think we could go through each of the regions and we just kind of give our overview. And before we go over the regions, we kind of just look at the little play-in games and then look at the regions.
Yeah, I like it.
So first play-in game I wanted to talk about Norfolk State, App State. I think we're both thought App State.
Yeah, I'm on App State on this one. I think they've had a bit of a tougher road out of the in their conference. I think they're a bit of a stronger team. Odds right now look App State's the favorite in this one coming into it, so I think App State gets the win over Norfolk State.
Okay. Is there any other ones that really catch your eye? I know that we want to talk about Michigan State, UCLA, because we want to let everyone know about the FanDuel boost that they need to hop on, that you share with your friends, it's a spread and it keeps going up every time 2,500 people bet on the game. And
Yeah.
It's 50 points right now, minus odds.
Yeah, I mean, I got in earlier today, and it was already sitting at like a 45 plus 45 and a half point spread in favor for Michigan State there. So as long as Michigan State didn't lose by 46, you win minus 110 odds, and you can do a max bet up to $50. You don't have to do $50, but max bet up to $50. I did the max. It's free money. Put in 50, you're going to take home 48 and some change. So might as well go and lock that in and have some extra money to play with for the tournament weekend.
That's Zane's lock of the week.
Yeah, definitely my lock of the week. I'll take that one.
FanDuel and lock that in.
But yeah, UCLA Michigan State game. I mean, the other one that stands out to me for group of or first four in, I like the Drake Wichita State game. I think that one's gonna be entertaining. Wichita is the favorite. I actually like Drake as the upset. That may be the second. That may be the one of the two that I play for our Super Cup challenge this week. I think I might go with the upset there with Drake advancing over Wichita.
Do you like the over or the under in that game?
I don't know. I haven't done enough homework on it yet to know. But let's see. I don't know what the line is at. Do you have the line in front of you there?
I don't, not right now. No.
Okay. Let's see if I can look it up real quick. It's over 141 right now. Over under 141. I think that's a little high. I don't know. I mean, I just the line itself. I don't know enough about the two teams yet to say one or the other. I know a base level about them. I've watched a little bit of Drake basketball this season, but over under 141 is kind of a high line there.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Mount St. Mary's or in Texas Southern?
I'm just going to avoid that one completely. I don't know a thing about it. Flip a coin. I mean, I don't know. Take the favorite. I'm not sure.
Well, then we'll move to the big matchup, Michigan State versus UCLA. That's a play-in game for the tournament. Two blue bloods, traditionally just former number one seeds in tournaments.
And you have the contrast, too, of the UCLA holding the better record, but many people would argue, well, not argue, but it's pretty much defined that Pac-12 is just a weaker basketball conference consistently and definitely this year compared to where Michigan State comes from out of the Big Ten.
Absolutely. And Michigan State's beaten a Michigan. They've played tough competition. The Big Ten has two number one seeds. It's a no-brainer that Michigan State has had a tougher schedule than UCLA.
So going down the stretch, like UCLA, just throughout the season down here, I mean, they lost to Oregon State in the quarterfinals. Oregon State makes that run to the championship game in the conference tournament. It's a surprising run. They lose to USC to end the season by a point. They lose to Oregon before that. I mean, end of February here, they lose to Colorado. I mean, they had lost three straight, it looks like. Yeah, three straight going into conference tournament play. So coming down the stretch, UCLA really hasn't been playing very well.
Yeah, I think I like Michigan State straight up, but I'm not. Obviously, I'm going to take that boost. So
yeah, I'm taking the boost too, for sure.
It might be something I play as like a second bet. Maybe Michigan State on the money line. But let's
double up.
Yeah, I might double up on it.
Yeah.
But let's take an overview look at each of the regions. We're not going to be able to go through every single matchup, obviously, but we will have all our picks on our social media, so make sure you follow us so that you can check those out. But
And join our March Madness group. You're going to be able to see our live brackets there.
exactly, our brackets might be different than our picks. We were talking about that earlier.
A lot could change. A lot could be convinced of in the next 2 to 3 days of watching, researching, and reading.
And if my bracket's busted after the first round, obviously, when we're going to bet the second round, I'm not going to have many options.
Exactly.
So let's look over the West region first. Gonzaga got the number 1 seed. Iowa, number 2 seed. That's a little tough of a number 2 seed for Gonzaga. Do we?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Does Gonzaga have a cakewalk to the Elite Eight?
No, they do not.
I don't
And I'll
think.
tell and I'll tell you why.
Are you gonna tell me Oklahoma?
I think Oklahoma could put up a fight, but I think if they make it so competitive, they may not win against Gonzaga in the second round. Oklahoma, first of all, has to get past Missouri, so we can't assume things. But I really want to see a Gonzaga Oklahoma matchup, second round in my bracket. I think Oklahoma pushes Gonzaga to the limits, sets up for a really tough Sweet 16 game between either Creighton, UVA, somewhere. I think Creighton or UVA would be facing Gonzaga in the Sweet 16.
I think it's UVA and a
I,
rematch of an earlier blowout.
It could be, but don't sleep on those Blue Jays, man. We've talked about UVA. Neither one of us think UVA should have won the ACC. We don't think they're a good team.
That's true.
Uh,
But I don't.
Moving down the sheet here, it's UVA versus Creighton. I think Creighton actually could beat UVA.
Creighton could beat UVA, but I don't know. I didn't like the way they looked against Georgetown either, and I don't think the Big East is as good as the as bad as the ACC was this year. I think the Big East was worse, especially when Colin Gillespie went down. Well, for Villanova, there really wasn't like a big dog in the Big East anymore.
Right, they kind of beat each other up a little bit, and there wasn't really a team that was dominant down the stretch. Which is, that's what you see with. What was Georgetown in the conference tournament?
Yeah,
What were they ranked at? Going all the way to the championship.
they weren't probably going to get into the tournament until
They played their way in the conference tournament for sure.
So, is there any other? Looking at the bottom part of the bracket, is Iowa just cakewalk into the Elite Eight?
I think so. I think whether they play, we talked briefly Oregon VCU. That one should be a fun matchup. I want to stick with Oregon because going into conference tournaments, I was claiming that they were going to win the Pac-12 and that they were a strong team. I still think they're a strong team overall. I think you'll see. I think Iowa will be playing Oregon. This is my initial thoughts on the bracket. This is what my only bracket I filled out so far. I actually had Oregon advancing over VCU, but it does not surprise me one bit if VCU ends up beating Oregon.
I think I might like VCU in that matchup actually, and then VCU Iowa. I think that's a cakewalk for Iowa, and then maybe Kansas, and that would be a good matchup. Iowa Kansas, that'd be fun, but I don't know.
You think USC advances to face Iowa? Do you think they have a shot to beat Kansas? I watched. No, I liked USC. I like their strength down low, to be honest. But I think matching up against Kansas is not in their favor at all. Does them no favor.
Yeah, I agree. So we have an Elite Eight matchup of possibly Gonzaga and Iowa. Interesting.
Yeah,
And then we did say possibly UVA or Creighton upsetting Gonzaga, but who do you see coming out of that region? Just early thoughts.
Final Four.
Yeah,
Gonzaga, they're so strong this year. Overall, my initial, I'm trying to play a little bit devil's advocate on each of these picks. But I
Mhm.
still think at the end of the day, Gonzaga will advance. I think they will be challenged though early with Oklahoma. I think it may be closer than they'll be anticipating, and then I think with that will come a tough matchup against UVA or Creighton. But I still think Gonzaga will be the team that comes out of that. Their offense is just too good. Um,
Yeah.
People are definitely going to go back and watch that first half tape of BYU and Gonzaga in their conference championship game there to see what BYU did to stop that.
Yeah, I think it's Gonzaga as well, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Iowa at all.
Yeah, I mean Garza is just he's a stud.
Yeah, he's the best player in the country.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa gets led there either. But it's so hard to predict Gonzaga in the tournament just because they play such a weak conference schedule.
Exactly.
And even more so this year than any of the years before that Gonzaga has been ranked because we didn't really have the out of conference schedule as much to go off of this year either.
Yeah, they did have that big win against UVA, but it was also UVA coming out of COVID.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this year makes it more unpredictable than ever just because of all the COVID situations. Different teams had different layoff weeks, whereas 1 or 2 weeks at a time where they weren't playing, or even a month at a time when they weren't playing. It's gonna make it interesting. But
Very much so.
East, moving on to the East.
You gonna go East or South?
Let's go East.
All right, we'll look at the East. So Michigan, the number 1 seed, to Alabama. Early thoughts. I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Michigan Georgetown Sweet 16 matchup. That would not surprise me.
I I I would. I'm going to go against you on that. I think Georgetown will get an upset win. I think they're 12. That's always a fun matchup to pick on anyway. There's 5 and 12s as upset picks. There's been some the past 3 years. I think there's been at least 2 12s,
Yeah,
or
I
at
did.
least
I think I
two
read
12s.
somewhere. Yeah, I read somewhere that statistically, like of recent history, if you just bet on all the 12 seeds, just like the way their odds are and everything, they're already picked to be like the lose on the
The
money line.
underdog. Yeah.
That you out of the past 3 years, you would have like doubled your winning, like your payout, like put in
Yeah,
every.
so I mean, the past few years, 12s has been a 12 versus 5. Fives are in a vulnerable spot. It seems like. Um, I think Georgetown absolutely can get the upset against Colorado, even though Colorado, the Buffaloes there had a strong showing in the Pac-12 conference tournament. I still think Georgetown, based on the way they played their way into the tournament, um, I look for them to come out with their hair on fire against Colorado. But I don't see them getting past the next round of 32. I think Florida State will take care of business.
I, so I mean, I think Florida State is definitely the better team and will be the favorite and easily could win. But just how inconsistent Florida State is as a team, that's like what I'm saying. Is like I wouldn't be surprised to just see Georgetown upset Florida State as well. It would not surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I look at we talk about Florida State's inconsistencies, but their letdown games really haven't been to teams that are that bad either.
No, but the way they've let them go is discouraging.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense too. But they only have been, they really have only lost to tournament teams, to teams that are pretty good or right on that bubble overall. But you're right, the way they lose sometimes makes you a little nervous. And to add to it, they have a historical pattern of just not performing well in March
That is true, and they always
when they're supposed to.
it always seems like they get you know into the Sweet 16, into the round of 32. Sometimes I think they were even in the Elite Eight recently. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident that they were. But it's always a matchup that they should win, and they lose.
Yep. Yep.
But looking at the bottom of the bracket, so this is where I think the out of all the regions, and the bottom parts of the brackets with the two
Yep.
seeds, I think this is the weakest 2 seed out of all of them, and I think this is the most wide open part of the bracket. I'm not predicting this. It's not what I'm saying. But could you not see Michigan State beating UCLA, then beating BYU, and then upsetting Texas and playing either an Alabama team in the Sweet 16 who's not really ever been there before, Maryland, which is a pretty good team, or UConn, which is also a decent team, but like I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, so here's my thought on that. A double-digit seed has made it to the Sweet 16 every year for the past. I wish I had some stats in front of me, but just I know it's been a streak here of at least having one double-digit seeded team in the Sweet 16.
Loyola Chicago, like
running it all the way to the Final Four. You could say the toughest thing is that they do have to play a tough play-in game against UCLA, though. If you're saying Michigan State, which already gives them an extra game, it's going to be tough. But
I completely agree. My point is being that part of the bracket to me
wide open
is so wide open.
My initial bracket here that I've already submitted, filled out. I actually took already whoever wins Michigan State or UCLA to beat BYU and upset them as 11 versus a 6. I don't care who wins it; they're going to beat BYU.
I like your confidence on it. Can that team? So, can Michigan State or UCLA upset Texas? Is Texas going to get upset by Abilene Christian?
No, Texas will not get upset by Abilene Christian. Texas will. I like your thinking of the idea of Michigan State making a run, but they just don't shoot well. They do not shoot well.
I'm Izzo in March.
I mean, I know the history. It's one of those blue blood programs. I get it.
It's about as scary as Syracuse's 11 seed over there in the Midwest. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get there. I have a different opinion on Syracuse. I actually feel better about Syracuse. But no, I don't see Texas getting upset by the 11 seed or by BYU if they were to advance. Texas will make their way into the Sweet 16.
Will Texas make it to the Elite Eight? I'm gonna tell you right now.
I think if it ends up coming down to Texas and Alabama, but like you said, it's such a wide open area. But if it ends up playing Texas, Alabama here in the Sweet 16, I'm going to take Texas over Alabama.
I like that. I like Maryland a little bit. I could see Maryland possibly making it to the Elite Eight to play Michigan, probably.
And this is a Maryland team that plays UConn, so I actually like Maryland as well. But I think they'll lose to Alabama as number 2. Yep.
These are just my early thoughts, by the way, as well. I haven't
for both of us, really. Like I said, I kind of just filled out a bracket a few minutes before we started recording, just to have some stuff to kind of go through gut picks real quick with very little research done into it to this point.
So we said Gonzaga was our team that we kind of picked for the Final Four out of that region. Who are we picking to go to the Final Four out of this region?
Out of this region, I am rolling with Texas.
Okay. I kind of like Michigan, but I can't see, you can't go chalk and all 4 number 1 seeds.
2008 was the last time that we've seen a Final Four where all 4 seeds were the number 1s, and that featured Kansas, Memphis, North Carolina, and UCLA.
Okay.
And then other than that, only 5 times has 3 number 1 seeds made it into the Final Four.
See, so I like our thinking, Gonzaga and Texas. Let's move to the South region then. Baylor, number 1 seed, Ohio State 2 seed. Looking at the top of the bracket, interesting matchup. North Carolina, Wisconsin. Early thoughts on that?
UNC showing in the um, in the ACC tournament against Virginia Tech. I'm still maybe riding that wave of emotions a little too high, but UNC just looked too strong in the middle against the Hokies. It was such a physical game. I think that affected them after playing such a physical game and having to play the extra game and playing a Florida State team who caught a break with an extra bye. And they nearly were able to pull that upset against Florida State too, and put up a strong fight all the way to the end. So UNC Wisconsin, I haven't watched enough of Wisconsin, but I think they've kind of flown average, kind of under the radar. I will take UNC in that matchup.
Early thoughts. I like UNC as well. Wisconsin, though, for the same reason that we were talking about Michigan State. The Big Ten is a tougher conference than the ACC this year, so that could be a really good matchup. Do you see either one of those teams being able to upset Baylor, who's only lost twice this year?
I think if one or the other is going to do it, it could be UNC to go on a March run here. Roy Williams get his team together for March. I think they look strong enough in the ACC tournament and down the stretch in conference play that they have a little bit of my confidence behind them. That I think they could put up a real fight against Baylor. Baylor has only lost 2 games this year, but those 2 losses came down the stretch to Oklahoma State twice. Is that right?
No, Kansas and Oklahoma State.
Sorry, one time Oklahoma State, one time Kansas. But they came kind of down the stretch towards the tail end of the season, right?
Yeah, Kansas was a little bit. It was, around our first episode.
Yeah, so
About
gotcha.
5 weeks ago, yeah.
So because of that, Baylor being undefeated up to that point, and then just in the past 3 to 4 weeks, then faltering a little bit, could see UNC to advance to Sweet 16. If it's Wisconsin, I take Baylor.
I think Baylor gets to the Sweet 16. I think that they're just going to be too talented for whoever. The thing that's interesting about North Carolina is they can run 3 dudes who are almost 7 feet tall out there at one time.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique, and they're the best offensive rebounding team in the country, and they just wear you down.
Yeah.
And then the next, because we were talking about 5 seeds and 12 seeds, Winthrop over Villanova. I think I like that matchup. I think I like Winthrop there.
Jeez, man, we need to stop agreeing on everything. I have Winthrop as well. Man, that's a strong Big South team. I think the Big South Conference as a whole, though, when's the last time we saw a Big South team advance to just the round of 32 in a tournament?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I know Radford's had a couple of good years.
But they usually get beat the first round.
Yeah, or they're just in, usually in the first 4 game as of most recent, and lose and get blown out in the first round. Winthrop, though, does make you want to believe, but you also have to keep in perspective of the teams that they're playing consistently.
That you are 100% right.
Versus Villanova's Big East schedule.
And Villanova may win this game, but the reason, without Colin Gillespie, I know that's still not right, but however, without
Colin G
struggled. Without CG, they've struggled, and so that's why I like Winthrop. But I think I like Winthrop, so I think I'm gonna roll with it. If it misses, it misses, because I don't see Villanova beating a Purdue team without their point guard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Purdue in that section of the bracket there, Purdue should get the win over Conference USA opponent there in North Texas. the Conference USA champion. It's going to see Purdue, either Villanova or Winthrop. At that point, it's hard for me to take a 12 seed back to back from the Big South. With that, keeping that in mind too, I'll take Purdue from the Big Ten, toughest conference in basketball this year. Purdue
Yeah,
advances.
and then Purdue, possibly Baylor or North Carolina. I think Baylor, but
Yeah, I would, like I said, I think UNC could push Baylor to the limits and be Baylor's first test of the tournament there.
yeah,
But I still see Baylor winning that one. Actually, I actually have them picked to win it. Like I said, I could see UNC once again pushing them to limits, but I think Baylor would prevail eventually.
I agree. Um, Bottom of the bracket.
Yeah,
Texas Tech versus Utah State. Utah State is a team that a lot of people had as first four out. So interesting.
yeah. I don't understand how Utah State got an 11 seed.
Well, I think it's good for Texas Tech because I think Texas Tech wins that one.
Yeah, I agree there, and I think it sets up for a fun matchup against an Arkansas team who I thought
You don't think
was.
Colgate can beat Arkansas?
I think Colgate. No, I'll write that one off. I don't
Colgate's
think.
only played 3 teams this year. I think I saw.
Yeah, I'll take Arkansas that one. I don't see a 13 seed out of all the 13-4 matchups, or sorry, 13-4, 14-3 matchups. Excuse me. Out of the 14-3 matchups, there, I don't see any of the 14s winning this time around.
All right, so
But Arkansas Texas Tech matchup, that should be fun.
I think it will be fun, but I think I can see Texas Tech winning that one. I think Texas Tech is a pretty good team. I think Texas Tech. The way they played, they were in the Final Four the last tournament. It's been 2 years, but it's not the same team. But I could see them making it to the Elite Eight. But let's look at the bottom though. Florida, Virginia Tech. Early thoughts about that one. I know that we'll obviously have some opinions on that since we're Hokies fans.
I am upset with the seeding number with Virginia Tech. I think they got gypped a little bit there, but I'm okay after seeing the brackets coming out. That okay, I wouldn't want to be in an 8-9 spot either. I'll take the 7-10 matchup with Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and I think early thoughts on it. Florida's really good, but they're really reliant on their point guard to score a lot. Man, I think Wabisa Beatty could probably, and Hunter Couture plays good defense as well. I think they can almost cancel out their guard play. They do have a pretty consistent. I think all 5 of their starters average double digit, so they are pretty balanced.
Yeah,
But I think Virginia Tech could possibly just stymie and Florida doesn't necessarily play great. They're not great on the offensive end or great on the defensive end, and neither is Virginia Tech. Looking at the numbers,
right.
but I do think Virginia Tech. I think the way that Mike Young coaches. I even saw on Twitter some Florida guys were already talking about they were worried about what Mike Young is going to scheme up against their defense. So I do think Virginia Tech can get by that one, but I may be being just a homer.
Florida 2-2 versus the top 25.
Virginia Tech is
Virginia Tech 4-0.
but you can't really. The AP polls kind of. You gotta look at like net and stuff like that, and they have a lot more quadrant 1 wins than Virginia Tech, but that may be because it's also weird this year because Virginia Tech hasn't played the same schedule, so we can't really look into too many of the numbers.
Yeah, I agree there. Ohio State underneath them there, 2 seed versus 15 seed. Oral Roberts, OSU Buckeyes, right?
Yeah, OSU, and I think OSU goes ahead and wins whoever they play next. I think if Virginia Tech wins, I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia Tech upset Ohio State. I think they could match up pretty well. But I think Ohio State's into the Sweet 16 where they'll match up against Texas Tech is what I'm thinking.
Here's what's crazy. If, and it's a big what if, and we're gonna sound like homers here because we're Hokie supporters. We love Virginia Tech. If somehow Hokies find their way escaping Florida, beating Ohio State, the Sweet 16 matchup for them looks very promising. Whether that's against Arkansas, I mean, you could, unless you're going to say Texas Tech. I mean, either way, those are, I think, fair matchups for Virginia Tech if they can find themselves that far.
I think so as well.
Long way to go, but
got to beat Ohio State first.
I mean, we got to beat Florida first, really. I mean, we got to take care of business there.
That's absolutely true.
Can't look past that one at all. Out of this region though, out of the South here, playing out down the stretch, Sweet 16, Elite 8. Who do you like coming out of it?
I got Baylor going to the Final Four. Ohio State beating Baylor in the Elite 8, and Baylor going in.
Yeah, I think Baylor actually overall probably got one of the best draws in regards to this portion of the bracket, this region, because I really only see one major player against them, and it's going to be the 2 seed Ohio State. I don't think there's too much room here for upsets or craziness, and if there is, it may be it may be Arkansas. But after seeing Arkansas's performance in the SEC tournament, I wouldn't see them beating Ohio State.
Yeah, I think Baylor. I don't know if necessarily I'd say Baylor got a good draw out of all the 1 seeds, just looking at it, but they definitely do match up well with the teams that are in their region.
I mean, they have a really nice path to Elite 8, at least. A really nice path to Elite 8.
Yeah. Well, the next region is where I see the number 1 seed possibly having a little bit easier path to the Elite 8, in my opinion. Midwest. I think Illinois is the number 1 seed. Houston is the 2 seed. I think Illinois, which I'm going to have mostly 1 seeds into my Final Four, but I think Illinois, I don't want to call it a cakewalk, but they're my pick to probably win it all. I think Illinois walks all the way to the Final Four.
I think they do as well, but I do think that there is room for Oklahoma State to upset them.
See,
the way they push
Oklahoma
people
State
to
had
limit.
the best player, and he played really well in the Big 12 tournament. But here's my pushback. This is all my pushback. We hardly ever see freshmen step up in big moments in these games. It's usually senior, like teams with like older
developed,
players.
Right?
However, Oklahoma State has the best player in the entire tournament. So,
I think this region of the bracket, the Midwest, could be the craziest region to play at. I predict some more upsets than I think the average for the lower seeds to win. I think there's a few extra ones in here that I like out of this region.
I wouldn't be surprised if Liberty beats Oklahoma State first round.
Excuse me there. I agree with that too. Liberty's a solid team. They're not bad. If you've watched any of their basketball this year, being a Liberty grad myself here, I'll be rooting for them.
They got that Jesus money. Building now, they got some nice facilities that they're building up there. So, that attracts good recruits, and like in all sports, I think they got a good program they're building. In the bottom of the bracket, Houston, do they really? Hear me out. I think Syracuse can make it to the Elite Eight out of the bottom of the. Looking at the bottom of the bracket in the Midwest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Syracuse in the Elite Eight. It's tournament time. That's what Syracuse does. They run that 2-3 zone that not a lot of teams really play. Now, I do like West Virginia. They also play a fun style of defense, press Virginia. And so I think that's what makes them such successful tournament team or can be successful tournament teams is because it's something different. It throws teams off. And I could honestly see Syracuse making it to the Elite Eight.
I like that pick a lot. I mean, like I said before, history repeats itself. There's a long streak of having a double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. I don't know what that streak is for the Elite Eight, but Syracuse could be that favorite to go to trend to follow that trend out of some of these double-digit seeded teams. I have more confidence in Syracuse with what they have ahead. But man, West Virginia, they're just nasty. That team gets after it. I I could see Syracuse doing it, but I think West Virginia is actually going to get the job done there. Um, I do have a couple of upsets on this side of the bracket, though. Hear me out. If you really want to go,
Cleveland State.
Cleveland State over Houston. Cleveland State over Houston, man. I watched some of their tournament games, their conference tournament games. Houston, what do you know about Houston? I don't know too much about them. I haven't followed them too closely. I mean, you got any stats on them?
I really don't. And like this is just our overview of it. I don't really know that much on them. They're in the Conference USA.
No, they are in the AAC.
Yep, the American. Sorry, athletic.
Yeah, American.
That's why I got confused. American. Yeah, a weaker conference. So I don't really know. I could be completely wrong. Houston, in the last tournament, they were a really good team, and I could see them being a really good team again, and they could possibly just run all the way to the Elite Eight, and I could be completely wrong. But I could see, if not Cleveland State, Clemson. Clemson plays good defense.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just favoring Power 5 schools. Maybe we have a Power 5 bias,
Hey, I just said Cleveland State, so
That is true. Cleveland State.
Here's the thing. Houston has only played one top 25 opponent. They're 1-0. Cleveland State has only played one. They're 0-1. I don't even know who they played that was ranked. I haven't looked deep enough into their schedule. Like I said, early thoughts, but just based on the little bit I've watched of Houston, the little bit I've watched of Cleveland State, matchup may be there for that could be the big upset of the tournament. The big wow upset would be the 15 over the 2. Unlikely, absolutely, but if it's going to happen, I think it would happen there.
Not Iona over Alabama.
Nah, not Iona over
Alabama. I agree, and it's probably good value. Like just throw your money. Like don't throw all your money on it, but just throw some money on it. And if it hits, it's good payout.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. I wonder what the line is at right now in that matchup. I wonder if the line probably should be set. Cleveland State plus 20 or Houston minus 20 there as the favorite. Plus 12,000 odds to win money line for Cleveland State right now.
Plus 12,000 or 1,200?
1,200.
Ah, you said 12,000. I was like,
no, I did say 12,000. I just did a brief look and caught myself, and yeah, I got way too excited there. I saw the plus 20 line was like 12,000. Yeah, no, plus 1,200. Sorry.
So when it's plus 20, is the odds minus 110?
Yeah, minus 110 on those.
I mean, that might be good value right there. To be completely.
I don't know, but after seeing Houston run through Cincinnati there,
that is true.
Crushed them.
So how are you feeling about overall Midwest coming out?
I think that one's going to be jumbled. maybe. I mean, I think the favorite. I feel good about Illinois. I don't see. I feel good about Illinois, and I like West Virginia, but I think they have a really tough path. I don't think Morehead State's a game for them to look past. Syracuse, if they were a matchup against Syracuse, um, I think that'll be really tough on them. If they match up against San Diego State, it's a decent San Diego State team this year, but I would feel better. I would feel better about West Virginia if they were playing, if they clean up easy against Morehead State, they end up playing San Diego State instead of Syracuse. I would like West Virginia to put up a fight against Illinois down the stretch.
I mean,
And I think just for me to just say, this pattern of number one seeds in the Final Four, can't go chalk for everything. Find your one or two that's your chalk of the number ones, and then figure something out.
I mean,
and maybe this is the one for me.
To be completely honest with you, Zane, people, if they're listening to this, might go and check my bracket, and it can be completely different than what I'm saying right now. And then when they go to check my picks, it can be completely different from that as well.
I know. Yeah.
So this is just an overview, but I feel really good about Illinois, and that's 3 number 1 seeds. I said,
which isn't unheard of. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
it's only happened 5 times, I guess. So.
And to be honest, I was back and forth between Iowa and Gonzaga, so that could very easily be Iowa in my eyes, which is a 2 seed, still not much of not a big drop off. But
I think it still is. I think a 2 seed matters. I think having a 2 or 3 in there matters as well. I mean, depends how you want to look at things. Are you looking things in a matchup standpoint? Or are you looking at it based on the seeding percentages of wins, like leaning that way? Or are you looking at just history as a whole and realizing that it usually doesn't shake out with just chalk in March? So
that is true.
There's a lot of ways you can try to analyze and pick your bracket from. That's what's fun about it.
An interesting thing. I wonder if you just do chalk throughout the last, say, 10 years of tournaments. I wonder if anyone could go and look at the odds and say if you just went chalk all the way through, like, on your picks. So, like, obviously, day of, you're making your picks. So, like, even if there's an upset in round 1, but, like, you just go chalk all the way through the higher seed for every pick. I wonder if you still would come out with, like, a pretty good payout. Or is it negative? Like, did you go in the red? I wonder what the average is.
Yeah, that'd be a fun statistic to dig into, to figure out, like, maybe not even like maybe not the entirety, but maybe just like last 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. Last 10 years.
Yeah, like take a last 10 years. Say if I took every just top seed, that includes 8 versus 9s, right? Taking eights on each pick. I mean,
yeah, but so say the 9 wins, and they play the number 1 seed.
Right.
I would still take the number 1, but say the 9 seed wins again, and they play. Let's see, they'd be in the Sweet 16, and they play.
They could be playing
the 4 seed. I would still
seed.
take the 4 seed over the 9 seed.
Right.
Makes sense, even though that 9 seed's probably
running
to be the better team.
Right.
I wonder statistically
how it shakes out, and monetary, on a monetary value standpoint, if you just take the favorite money line, does that help, or do you need a couple of underdogs in there to help with the plus money lines?
Yeah, like, I wonder what the pay, like, is it worthwhile to even risk it like that? But if statistically pulls out, maybe we'll break Vegas and they'll never go with them. I'm just kidding.
Coming up with a mastermind scheme.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered the tournament. Looking forward, we talked about how we're going to do the Super Cup this week. And to get our picks again, guys, where can they find us in?
First of all, before we finish up, who's your champion?
Oh, I think I saw somewhere that odds might have changed because I think a lot of money was going in it. There was Illinois plus 600 at one point. And
Let's take a look at championship odds real quick. let's take a look at the futures real quick for outrights.
We'll definitely need to put a champion pick out there as well.
I agree with that. I mean, top Gonzaga plus 200 champion.
Yeah, I don't.
Can I bet against them in there? Not to make the Final Four. I would like those odds better probably. Illinois is plus 600 right now on FanDuel.
I think that's good value.
Tied with Baylor at plus 600, and they're second. I mean, other than that, you go down the list. You got Ohio State at plus 2100, Houston at 2100, Iowa 1700. West Virginia is below Florida State, below Oklahoma State, below Alabama, tied with Purdue at plus 5,000 odds to win the championship. And the way they play, like you said, it's a style of offense that can cause havoc for teams. West Virginia may be maybe the kind of the value there. I don't know,
I think
potentially if they would win it, but that would be fun.
I think what we should do is pick 3 teams, me and you both, and we put $10, so it'd be $30. I mean, we don't have to do this, but we take a favorite, we could even both take Illinois at plus 600, or I take Baylor, you take Illinois. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
A good value. So you just said West Virginia.
Yep.
Then a long shot,
anything over plus 10,000.
Yeah, something like that. Where's Syracuse's odds right now?
So, for example, plus 10,000 odds teams run LSU, North Carolina, Oregon, Wisconsin, Clemson, Florida, Georgia Tech, Maryland, Michigan State. We've already switched over to 15,000 at this point. Syracuse plus 15,000.
Yep, right there.
And you can, unfortunately, where we are in the state of Virginia, we are not allowed to pick VCU or Virginia Tech or UVA.
Love it, but let's do that. So below,
I like it.
That as well, guys.
I like it.
Find it, Zane.
You can find it paydayparlays.com. You can find it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Payday Parlays. It's going to be a fun week of basketball. A lot of stuff to dive into the next couple of days. Take a breather. It's not, take a break maybe the next 2 days. We'll place a wager or two to keep it going. Hockey, NBA, something. Champions League this week. But really get ready to dig in for the long haul. The next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. And make sure you follow us. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button. But make sure you want to follow along, get our picks, and join our bracket challenge. All you got to do, once we get the website out there, you just follow the link and make sure you just shoot us a DM, a message on Facebook, anything. Just let us get a little message, show us that you're following, and then remember, you have to continue to be following to win the prize. And we'll be posting tomorrow night what the prize is, so you might want to jump in on it.
You got a couple days to figure it out. It's going to be exciting, and you don't want to miss out. And come on, try to take us down. Try to knock out me and Matt and dethrone our egos in regards to picks. I think this weekend humbled us enough this past weekend, but we're going to try to live up to the hype here and compete for March Madness title. And
it's one submission per person. Just want to remind everyone, one submission. So it's your best bracket.
One shot.
Well, I think we pretty much covered it, Zane. You got anything?
I agree. No, I think we're good. Just I'm too excited. I'm excited to go through the next couple of days. Thursday, can't get here soon enough with some first 4 games. Let's get it.